Mariners owner John Stanton continues to prove why he is an incompetent owner and really should not be in the baseball business. Why do I think so? You will find out after a word from our sponsor, SeatGeek. SeatGeek is a mobile ticketing app for sporting events, concerts, and other events. They make the buying experience easier by the app ranking each ticket from 0 to 10 to see if you are getting a good deal, and you can see exactly where you are sitting. I regularly use that app, and I have had nothing but a fantastic experience with SeatGeek. Use my promo code RooftopSports to get $20 off of your first purchase. Link to the code, app, and website will be in the description, so take advantage, and thank you. So yep, definitely take advantage as opening day gets closer and closer. So I just saw an interview between John Stanton and King 5, and must I say, it was infuriating to watch. Just watching him just talk, it was almost to the point I was like, John, just stop talking. You're done. Whatever you say is not going to make it feel better or do any better. So let's go over what he said. So the comments that stood out to be the most, now the first one, of course, was Cal Raleigh when he expressed his frustrations on the ownership at the end of the 2023 season, where he was expressing that ownership should have spent money like the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros did, which they did, and they were... One of them was on the cusp of the World Series, and the other one won the World Series, which was the Texas Rangers. And then what does John Stanton say? He says that he feels the same pain as Cal Raleigh. He talked with him. He understands. Here's my thing. Actions speak louder than words. And I know I'm probably quoting that from Marine Layer podcast, where you probably got most of that. You got most of what he said. And credit to him for even making a video like that on his Instagram and possibly YouTube short probably. But must I say, if you felt the same pain as Cal Raleigh, then you would have actually done something about it. Up the payroll. Maybe go out and get like one of those free agents, like a Blake Snell, which you should have gotten, which you should have, because now Brian Wu is starting the season on the IL, and now we're down a man, unless you count Emerson Hancock, but I don't know if I could really trust him. And of course, the Mariners, John Stanton was not willing to spend the money for Blake Snell, despite the fact that he wanted to be on the Mariners for the entire offseason. The guy went out of his way to not take a contract from the Yankees. The guy went out of his way to not even join the Astros. And he eventually settled with the Giants because the Giants don't really have much bearing against the Mariners. And you waited all that time to let that happen. Mariners should have gotten Blake Snell. Like, even with the healthy Brian Wu, I still would have liked to have Blake Snell. If it means to have a six-man rotation, or if it means to have Brian Wu possibly in the bullpen, so freaking be it. You would have an all-star and Blake Snell. And I don't care how much he walks his batters. He still makes it up by being the Cy Young winner with the San Diego Padres. So I couldn't take it seriously when John Stanton said, oh yeah, I feel the same pain as Cal Raleigh. Honestly, I think John Stanton actually threatened the guy to apologize, or else he would have been traded out of this team, and our starting catcher would have been Sebi Zavala. That would have been really exciting. The next statement that really also stood out was how he basically threw Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander under the bus when he basically said, oh yeah, they're the baseball guys. They are the ones that make the decisions that I approve. But here's the thing. You held the two men hostage with that limited payroll that you were giving that was like, what, $35 million to spend according to Adam Jude of Seattle Times? Absolutely ridiculous. And Jerry and Justin did everything they possibly can to build some kind of a potentially winning ball club, like getting Mitch Haniger back, like getting Jorge Polanco, like getting Gregory Santos. And yet you would say that, oh yeah, they make the baseball decisions. I had nothing to do with it. You had everything to do with it. You could have upped the payroll. And I get it. You have to make a profit because it's a business. But here's the thing. If you're in the business just to make money, then you shouldn't be in the business. You're in the business because you believe in your product, and because you believe in the product, you put in the passion, you put in the resources, you will do everything you can to put a winner in there. Like, for example, Did I go into this YouTube channel just to make money? Absolutely not. Now, is there an intention to make money? Yeah, of course there is. But hey, here's what I did. I spent the money on the equipment. I spent the money on this camera. I spent the money on this microphone and replaced my previous microphone because it's pretty much broken at this point. I spent the money on this microphone stand, or whatever you want to call it. I spent the money on those lights. I even spent the money for a friend to make my thumbnails for me, to improve my channel, because I care about my product. John Stanton doesn't care about his product. He throws everyone else under the bus. He pretends that he does care, but he really doesn't. Like, he's really no different than the previous ownership, which was Nintendo, and I said they were bad. But honestly, I think John Stanton is even worse, in my opinion at least. And the other comment that also bothered me, that really proved that he was completely out of touch, he was talking about Kansas City Royals, about the fact that they won a World Series in 2015 and haven't won anything since. I'm like, John, the Mariners haven't even won a World Series, so you can't really throw that much shade at the Kansas City Royals. They won the World Series. Now, granted, they're not doing too good, but they're a small market team. The Mariners, they are not a small market team. They are an upper tier market team. Like, for example, the Oakland A's, they would kill to have Seattle's market because they would certainly spend the money. Well, John Fisher may disagree and the fans of Oakland may disagree. But beside the point, Mariners are in one of the bigger markets in America. You've got the tech giants of Microsoft, Amazon. You've got Facebook hanging around here. We have the market to support a team like this. And you see it in the numbers that fans consistently show up to these games. Like, come on. Like, are you just completely that out of touch? Which he really does sound out of touch, especially when he says and claims that the fans were well responsive. They were not well responsive to you, John Stanton. They were well responsive to Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander for coming up with all these insane trades that you had no part of. The only reason those kind of trades happen is because you held Jerry Dipoto and Justin Hollander in absolute hostage. The statements like this really makes me concerned for the Mariners. Like, I'm excited, don't get me wrong. I really want to be positive for this team. I really want to believe in this team, and I believe that the team has the talent to win the World Series. What really concerns me about the Mariners, and we have seen it many times before, as exciting as this core is with Julio Rodriguez, Cal Raleigh, George Kirby, Logan Gilbert, you name it, we have seen it time and time where the Mariners had an amazing core like this of Ken Griffey Jr., Alex Rodriguez, Edgar Martinez, later on with Ichiro, and all those teams were held hostage for higher payroll, and success was limited because of that. But yet, the hypocrisy I see in this ownership historically was Bill Bavasi from 2004 to 2008. He was somehow allowed as much payroll as he wanted to build a team in 2008 to lose 101 games despite a $100 million payroll. It seems that the Mariners are not really interested in spending when they're actually contending and they're actually a good, exciting young team. But then when they're bad and they got no future, no prospects, no farm system, toxic culture, no problem. They'll spend all the money they want. But that's all I got to say. Just watching that interview between John Stanton and King 5 was just absolutely infuriating. And the most infuriating part of that entire interview was watching Paul Sylvie, who was the one who conducted the interview. He was really kissing up to John Stanton. Now, granted, Mariners and John Stanton have a very close partnership, but I think anyone else should have done that interview. But that also reminds me that the way that King County handled that interview really just proves and continues to prove my point why nobody should trust the mainstream media. No one. Because all they do is protect the ones that hurt the consumer, which is us Mariner fans. And yet, fools like me will still continue to give money because we love this team so much unconditionally, no matter how much we criticize. I don't know. But that interview I saw gave me a huge bad taste in my mouth, and I am definitely going to mention it in the next live show with the Jay Trident podcast. Thank you very much for watching. I thought I'd just let that out. And I have a couple other videos talking about Mariners ownership, and you guys should definitely check that out. Here's a few videos. Go ahead and give it a watch, because I've been talking about how bad Mariners ownership has been historically for years, and you might want to check these videos out. And if you can, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell.